Hey guys, I am Big and Scary. I'm bringing you another StarCraft 2 replay from Team Echo, this time featuring in our bottom right hand side EchO.Virus, our red Zerg, and in the top left we have Bakemonoda, our blue Terran. For prosperity's sake, my tongue's sake, for your sake, I'm going to call him Bake. Bake is probably going to be our best bet. We're on Alkaline Wastes, unless I'm mispronouncing that. I'm probably mispronouncing that, but I'm going to go with Wastes. It's one of those brand new maps from Heart of the Swarm. It's very, very cool. It's got all sorts of open areas, really using the brush to make it so that engagements kind of happen behind shades, and it's very cool. I like this match a lot, and I really like this dynamic map. The natural's pretty easy to take, very narrow choke leading down into the common ground for that natural, and then a secondary pathway with some destructible debris. You also have this weird collapsible rock tower which can kind of cordon off your third, so I expect to see that played out. I mean, this is Zerg versus Terran. It's not known for its ridiculous cheese or aggression or anything like that. On a map of this size, it's difficult to rush from one end to the other and take the other player by surprise. So neither player has thrown down a super early barracks or spawning pool just yet. We do see the first racks coming out of Bake, but that's at a very traditional timing. The first supply depot is done. Probably going to see another supply depot thrown down here, but not from this SCV. Oh no, he yearns for adventure. Oh no, good play there by Bake, starting a supply depot, not finishing it, just to make it so that it is impossible for Virus's drone to actually manage to make its way up that map. And if you're ever wondering why a drone does that, it's because now that this is completely walled off, it's just trying to get as close as it possibly can to wherever Virus clicked. And that's over there, it's not right here. So very cool play there by Bake, very professional, and very much denying of the fact that he's grabbed a very early gas. That first gas is done. No second gas just yet, but he's immediately mining off with 3 SCVs, so that can key you in that it's not going to be a super early expansion. This is going to be some sort of tech play. He's going to be working on something sooner or later. Where is that bunker? Bunker going up right here, but this is shenanigans. He doesn't have a single Marine on the field. There's no reason for this except for to pull a handful of drones so that they can snipe down that SCV, and snipe it they do. They're going to leave the bunker there because it's not even going to get finished, and they're going to go back to mining. Probably the first round of Zerglings are going to focus down that bunker, make it so that the eventually the Marines that do make their way out onto the map won't be able to take advantage of its corpse. And yeah, those drones have nothing better to do. They won't be able to run home and deposit their minerals. They might as well focus down that bunker, forcing the cancel coming out from Bake. Looks like an Overlord is going to go down, caught off guard by 2 Marines, but you expect to lose at least 1 Overlord in the coming minutes. It's not really expected as much as necessary. You've got to position those Overlords a little bit aggressively. Still, it's 100 resources lost in the favor of Bake, and he's got to be feeling pretty good about that. In fact, these Marines will probably saunter back home, get a free beer or something like that. First spawning pool is done, as well as the hatchery. The queens, both of which are starting at pretty much the exact same time. That means that the injects, the larva injects, will be injectable at the exact same time. Their energies are going to line very, very nicely up. See 2 more queens underway, so this creep spread's going to get absolutely insane, which is usually a really good idea whenever there is a large distance between the third and the natural, especially how long of a walk the fourth is. I mean, this is absolutely huge. So creep spread's actually very, very large. A big deal. It's a big deal is what I'm trying to say. Bunker has made a reactor that's going to be used by the factory, immediately lifts off, and then goes to, look around the map. That's a weird decision. Bake evidently going for either factory or air. He has a starport underway. Factory's probably going to be used to make some Hellions to buy him some time. That early gas is being put to very, very good use. The third expansion also underway with a command center not positioned to produce SCVs for either of these mineral lines, but he's probably going to be positioning down here at the third and then take care of that rock tower, take out these destructible debris. Neither player making motions like they want to be hyper aggressive, but these first round of Hellions will be coming out and poking, just poking at the natural. The third has not been taken just yet, but so many queens are out on the field right now that they're going to be able to push back these Hellions no problem at all. However, a medevac is being produced right now from that starport, and with that drop play potential, these Hellions could be a lot more aggressive if they need to. Now that the factory's done, I don't see any other factories. I don't see any reason why you'd get a starport if you're going mech. It's obvious he's going air, in my opinion. So I expect this is going to be some sort of hyper air play. It could be that we're going to be seeing those new Ravens. He was talking about the changes on the patch just a couple seconds ago, and those Ravens now have that splash damage. The Hunter-Seeker missile has been switched up, so those Ravens are a lot more potent, and this could be a variation on that build where you get the planetary fortresses and defend a natural and then go into a massive amount of Ravens. So keep an eye out on what exactly gets created in Engineering Bay going down. I don't know. An Engineering Bay is only good for two things. One, for upgrades for the Marines, and then two upgrades for those the high-sec auto tracking and the armor for the planetary fortress, as well as the autocannons. The Hellions have made their way into the main base by Bake. The Hellions going to town on all those drones. Virus doing his best to split them up. It's actually a very nice spread. However, 9 workers have completely gone down. All 4 of the queens have arrived on scene, but man, those Hellions are so very, very resilient that they're just soaping up all of those drones. So many drones have gone down. Medevac just barely surviving with just 22 health, but the Hellions are in pretty good working condition, and in fact, if Bake decides to get an armory, those Hellions could morph into the Battle Hellion mode and could get repaired by the Medevac, so that'd be absolutely fantastic. There goes the structural armor. Fantastic. That adds 2 armor not only to the structures but also those autocannons, making them so much more resilient. And if to dispel any other doubt that Virus is going to be going up against a flock of Ravens in relatively short order, there goes the Tech Lab. So this starport is definitely going to start creating a lot of Ravens, and 2 more starports just underneath it. This is going to be bad. This is really bad for Virus. Virus needs to be a lot more aggressive now. He needs to basically cost one of these bases their lives, because there's no reason for Virus to sit back and be passive at this moment. The longer he waits, the more of those Ravens are going to get out on the field, and it is so very hard to deal with a group of like 12 Ravens, because those autocannons are just so very durable. Nothing on the ground can take them out cost effectively, because they're totally free, obviously, but they also do a ridiculous amount of damage. Roaches are a great choice, because those roaches are going to have to deal with planetary fortresses, which are going to be made here as well as here. It's weird that the Engineering Bay hasn't been used to make these into planetaries. It could be that he's just trying to save up gas, but it takes a while for those planetaries to be made, so as soon as a move out takes place and is seen, I'm sure he's going to make those into planetaries as soon as he sees Virus looking like he wants to be aggressive. Virus, however, sitting back, relaxing on his upgrades. He's got +1/+1 on the way for the roaches, as well as the glial reconstitution. Going to be adding a little bit of speed to those roaches. He's got a Hydralisk then underway, so he's going to be working on a very nice unit composition. Hydralisks are very good against Ravens, because the main defense they have against them is the point defense drone, but Hydralisks attack so very, very quickly that they chew through the energy from the point defense drone to the point where it's useless in about 10 seconds. So they're a very good counter. Other counter is Corruptors, but in order for Corruptors to work, you need a critical number, and you also need fantastic unit control, because 1 or 2 Hunter-Seeker missiles on the group of Corruptors can really just decimate your number. There goes the 2 planetary fortresses that I was talking about, and Virus can't allow all 3 of these bases to get up fully mining, because the gas income is really going to be the limiting factor for Bake. He's still doing very, very well on his macro right now. He's got that Corvid reactor just now finishing, so the Ravens that get created are going to be coming out with some extra energy to use and abuse. And the Virus's roaches are being just a little bit more aggressive now. I think he's starting to feel that something's up. Is he aware of exactly the shenanigans that are going on back at home? No, he's not. We've seen absolutely no scouting coming out of Virus just for a while now, and I think that that's because the Marines were so aggressively positioned that they took out every single one of those overlords that could have been suicided in. And for whatever reason, Virus hasn't created an overseer, hasn't suicided it in. He's just sitting back and building up that money composition of Hydras with their increased speed. And this is something that I've cast a lot of games for this in the favor of Terran during Wings of Liberty. I've seen this matchup a lot, and every single time it goes for Terran if Zerg doesn't succeed in taking down that third. That being said, it's Heart of the Swarm. It's totally changed. Those Hydras are incredibly fast now once they get their speed, which is being researched right now. 2-2 is on the way. I think that Bake is going to have to go for basically a run for his money. Oh, and also Bake has shown his unit composition just a little bit early. He's coming with just a single Raven, 1 or 2, I think. Just 3. Oh, wow. Thrown down a handful of those autocannons and shown that this is what Virus is going to be dealing with, is this heavy air Terran. And because of that, I think he's going to get out more and more Hydras, maybe 1 or 2 less roaches than you would expect, and again, just continue on those upgrades. But this is the time for Virus to be kind of aggressive. Look at the front door. Got 2 Widow Mines positioned rather perfectly, actually. It's going to really cost those roaches a lot of lives for them to come up through that front door. However, the rocks on the third are not down. 1-2 volleys from those Hydras take down that barracks completely. These Roach Hydra mix is going to do absolute wonders against this planetary fortress. Here it is, pushing in. There goes the surround of all those SCVs, but even with all those SCVs, they're doing a fantastic amount of damage. Oh, the Hunter Seeker missiles coming in. Wow, so many dead Hydralisks taking so much damage from that. I'm not 100% sure which patch this is. It could be that those Hunter Seeker missiles don't do splash. I'm not 100% sure, but I can tell you that what they do is make a lot of dead SCVs. 27 workers killed, 17 now for Virus. So Virus definitely evening the score with that sort of harassment. However, look at the units lost tab. Wow, 59 resources lost, 5,900 resources lost in the favor of Bakemonoda. I mean, that can just show you that Planetary Fortress really does save so much money by being able to shell down so much damage. And ultimately, I think Bake came out ahead, obviously, because he kept his third up and he cost Virus his complete unit composition. However, these roaches, once again, are going to be pushing in, and they're very resilient. I mean, +2 is totally done, and they'll be targeting down those mules, and each one of those mules is around 300 minerals. And now with those SCVs not in position to repair this planetary fortress, with nothing really to repair that planetary fortress, maybe these roaches will be able to target it down. I'm not 100% sure if he will. Check out the mini-map. Those roaches, those Ravens are again positioned just to the north side of the third for Virus, and again with another swell of Ravens coming in, throwing down some auto turrets, and that planetary now being fully repaired back up to full. Again, this third survives, but now the total number of harvesters has been pretty much devastated for Bake. His third is completely down, and he needs to move in with his own third, targeting down a handful of those, and it does have splash damage. Absolutely fantastic. Those Hunter Seeker missiles doing quite a number on the drones there, but I don't think it took down too many of them. You can see a lot of orange there. I think the ones that got hit obviously went down without too much fuss, but immediately adjacent to it, not taking too much damage. Another round of roaches moving off, but we can see that the auto turrets are still in position, still very resilient with their +2 armor, is not going to be taking too much. However, the roaches more than content to focus down a couple of those SCVs as they were beginning to transfer in. Those roaches are within range of the planetary fortress. Oh, so many of those roaches. Some of them burrowing underground, trying to confuse the Hunter Seeker missiles. I don't believe that that would work, just because those Ravens are also detectors. Oh, a single roach moving out of the maximum range of that Hunter Seeker missile, but these roaches are again repelled. And at the same time, Bake feeling very confident about his build and how very cost effective it's been. 38/93. Virus pausing. I wonder why. Probably just a personal problem, but you can't help but to feel sorry for him, because this is such a hard build to deal with once it gets rolling. And we can see that Bake there's nothing stopping his macro right now. He's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different bases going strong. His main is still mining. He still have every single one of his mineral patches. This is looking increasingly desperate for Virus. However, look at that Hydralisk speed moving just barely out of the range of those Hunter Seeker missiles, and that's 125 damage, energy. Rather, the Hydralisks have found the planetary fortress, focusing it down. It looks like the sheer DPS from those Hydralisks is enough to make the planetary fortress fall. And look at this, a nice play by Virus, positioning his roaches and Hydralisks around the planetary fortress, making it so that the actual planetary fortress can't get surrounded by the SCVs, making it so they can't repair even if Bakemonoda wanted to. The Hydralisks and Roaches have finally managed to take down a single expansion. Now he just needs to do this 5 more times. A couple of the Hydralisks getting off 1 or 2 pot shots on those Ravens, actually doing quite a lot of damage to 1 or 2 of them. But ultimately, a definite win for Virus. Not only did he take out a fully saturated expansion, but also 2 planetary fortress, plus just, you know, the morale boost, knowing that he can actually take this down. If it bleeds, we can kill it. Those Roaches once again coming in. Look at that, just the sheer power from all of those Roaches. And now there's not many Hydralisks left alive, so there's not a lot of anti-air to deal with those Ravens, but he doesn't need to as long as he continues to snipe down those planetary fortresses. Those Roaches are incredibly resilient, and this is ultimately a very good play. Got to be careful of those Widow Mines, though. Those Widow Mines at any time can fire off 1, 2 volleys, doing some fantastic damage. Man, Bake just showing you that Terran, they can be sneaky. They can be very, very sneaky devils. 14 over 88 right now. And by 14, I mean 141 over 96. Ultimately, Virus is still very much behind. But, you know, Virus has not let his macro slip. He's up on 4 bases himself and is, you know, successfully transitioning over to +3/+3 with the Ventral Sacs. I wonder what he's going to be using his Overlords for. I'm not 100% sure. It could be just some more scouting. Very much belatedly, or if we're lucky, some form of a drop play, because if he gets in there and actually deals some significant damage to the infrastructure, then absolutely he can expect to pull ahead in this game. Also, a fantastic decision is to make it basically a 50-50 split between Roaches and Hydras. Roaches just to deal with the sheer brunt of the planetary fortress, but now the Hydras will be able to take down a large swell of those Ravens themselves. Speaking of Ravens, that Corvid of Ravens is moving out in a flock pattern down to the bottom right-hand side or left-hand side of Virus's base. If it makes its way into that natural, it will be doing quite a lot of damage in relatively short order, but 16 Corruptors are on their production tab. This is what I was talking about. 4 different PDDs, every single one is expelled of energy in a matter of seconds because of all those Hydralisks. They fire so incredibly quickly. Overseers have been added into the mix now to scout the Widow Mines on the low ground, and both the Hydralisks outrange the Widow Mines. I don't believe that the Roaches do. Now that the Corruptors are on the field, they'll be swelling up into a large force. Have to be very mindful of the fact that Virus is a completely maxed out player right now. He's going to be dealing, spending the majority of his money on infrastructure as well as tech, so that he can transition eventually to that money late game composition. However, the Broodlord Corruptor really isn't that handy against Roaches. It is pretty handy against battle cruisers. Wow, look at all those Hunter-Seeker missiles coming down right on top of those Hydralisks. Hydralisks are still very, very frail, even if they are very, very fast. Both of the battle cruisers taking quite a lot of damage, but this is again what I was talking about, the Corruptors not being able to fire very quickly. It leaves them very vulnerable to the point defense drone, but that's what the Hydralisks are there for. Hydralisks just chewing them up. The Roaches dealing plenty of damage to the Marauders. All of a sudden, Bake has his front door completely battered down. The Ravens are having to retreat so very, very quickly from the Corruptors. Retreating, throwing down a point defense drone, and then having the Hydralisks chew them up. Not many of the Corruptors are left alive. Only 3 of them are left alive, and only a handful of Hydralisks to boot. But we just saw 27 Hydralisks pop out on the field, and as they begin to coagulate in the middle, we're going to see another Doom push. And is it going to be up to Virus? Which way is he going to push? Is he going to push down here to the bottom left, just be content in taking out 1 or 2 of the expansions, or is he going to push up into the middle, crush some infrastructure, deal with whatever is making these BCs? I'm not 100% sure what ultimately is the correct decision. I'm always in favor of starving out the enemy, but Hydralisks really are ultimately weak. I mean, they only have 3 armor, 80 hit points. They're very weak against battlecruisers. They do quite a lot of damage to anything on the ground that doesn't have a lot of armor. And so these Hydralisks are going to be left pretty much out in the cold if we don't see any more Corruptors on the field. And I think that Virus has switched up into Infestors with the Pathogen Gland finished. He's not giving up on the air tech, though. He does have +1 weapons air. Actually, it might be +3. Not 100% sure on the colors for that. First planetary fortress falls, and the second one is in relatively short order. Look at how fast it falls whenever it's not being repaired, and even when it is repaired, it just, the sheer amount of damage generated by those Hydralisks is enough to crush them down. The splash damage from the Hunter-Seeker missiles not enough to prevent that planetary fortress from falling, and once again, Bakemonoda losing an expansion. He hasn't taken back He did take back his third, but he hasn't taken back this one over here in this corner. It looks like the planetary fortresses, the battle cruisers, have come back out for round 2, but the sheer amount of corruptors and hydralisks is not enough to take back the air, and both players are content to retreat for the time being. Virus, is he aware of this expansion? He is. He does know about that planetary fortress, and in turn all these mules. Definitely needs to stop that from happening. Needs to continue to choke Bakemonoda so that he can't continue to produce the Marines and Marauders like he's been doing. Keep him curtailed into just the Raven production, because it appears that Virus has found a very nice unit composition that can deal with that. The Infestors are out on the field right now. Do they have mind control? They do not, so those battle cruisers won't be doing any favors for Virus just yet, but the fungal growths will definitely be doing quite a lot of damage, both to the Marines as well as the planetary, the battle cruisers right now. Those poor corruptors are sacrificing their lives so that both planetary fortresses can fall. Another expansion goes down for Virus. There goes the volleyball of green. Nice fungal growth going down on all the planetary fortress battle cruisers. Oh, and the hydralisks are definitely doing a number on those battle cruisers. Even though they take quite a lot of damage, they also dish a lot of damage, which used to be their major benefit. Only 5 hydralisks remain against a single battle cruisers. The other ones are limping home, and man, the sheer number of ravens is really just drastically fallen. We only have 5 ravens left. I had no idea he lost so many in that first engagement, but really those hydralisks are doing a ridiculous amount of damage, and Bake knows it. Bake taps out. Good game. 28. It's a whole page of hydralisks are on the way because they're so good. Oh my goodness. Like I said, I think I've cast this matchup where the Terran goes Sky with the Ravens probably half a dozen times, and every single time, if they get up more than one expansion, they win the game, period. And it's just a clean streak. And Virus minimized the amount of damage he took from that first push, even though Bake kind of moved out a little bit ahead of schedule. Only with 3 Ravens, you usually expect to see 7 or 8 in that first push. He minimized the amount of damage he took. He didn't lose the hatchery. He didn't lose a ridiculous number of drones. Yeah, he took some significant damage from those Hellions, but I mean, they're Hellions in a medevac. What are you going to do with that? He got Queens there, and then he ultimately dealt with the aggression, lost maybe 10 drones. Not the worst thing in the world. And then you run up against that many planetary fortresses, eventually just betting everything you have on these hydralisks, and the hydralisks paying out in spades. This is what makes an expansion so incredibly exciting. It's the fact that everything gets turned on their head. Hydralisks are now good against planetary fortresses, and it's awesome to see the metagame evolve like that. I hope that this gets ironed out and the Raven build gets a lot more dynamic and a little bit more evolved, because right now it's just who makes more Ravens and can Zerg break down my wall first. It's really cool. Virus is really cool. You guys are really cool for watching this replay. If you have a comment on the replay, maybe congratulate Virus for figuring out how to do that, because I have lost to that a lot of times. You can email him at echo.starcraft.gaming@gmail.com, and you could also subscribe to this channel if you are interested in seeing more games done by him or the other players on Team Echo. One way or another, I will see you guys later. I am Big and Scary. Bye.